that better? Okay. No, Mike. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Before we move on with the agenda for the evening, I wanted to start with, I want to read a statement that the public should hear that was made by one of our council members, Sana Tayeb, and with the understanding that all of the council members are in complete agreement. So I will read this statement. And then we can move on with our agenda. So to our District 25 community, empowering learners, embracing differences, providing equitable access and opportunity for all. District 25 is committed to and driven by these core values as we work to foster strong roots, strong schools in our community. Community involvement during our public meetings, even from non-district members, is a testament to our mutual devotion to kids and the parents we serve. Sadly, two specific public meetings by Community Education Council for District 25 have raised concerns amongst community members. CEC for D25 acknowledges these concerns. We, collectively, condone any behavior by any council member that may be interpreted as culturally insensitive, intimidating, or aggressive toward anyone based on racial or ethnic cultural prejudices. CEC for District 25 body is representative of a diverse group of council members and upholds that diversity in the viewpoints presented during public meetings, that the council is committed to ensuring that all council members demonstrate respect for others through their words and actions, practice civility, professionalism, and decorum in discussions, especially when addressing difficult questions or sensitive topics, understand that their body language, tone of voice, and words can appear intimidating or aggressive and act accordingly. Be respectful of others' time, stay focused and act efficiently during public and special meetings. Demonstrate honesty and integrity in every action and statement. Serve as a model of leadership and civility to their community. Inspire public confidence in District 25 leadership through their professional conduct. And actively engage in professional development and continuing learning offered by Family and Community Empowerment, also known as FACE. Building an inclusive school community is a continuous undertaking. Responding to implicit bias or ethnic cultural prejudices can be a community building opportunity if we encourage collaboration and ongoing commitment from all stakeholders in our community. CEC for District 25 will continue to work with council members and the greater community on diversity, equity, and inclusion goals. Having said that, I believe Mr. Chow would like to address the public.
Thank you. You can call me Joseph for a second. Good evening, everyone. When I make statements, it's up to the others to interpret what I say. I would like to apologize to everyone who was offended by my insensitive comments at the last meeting. I would like to apologize to the council members in particular. I'll be extremely careful from now on when I make comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. Is there anyone else on the council that would like to make a statement?
I'll do, Joe.
Rushmi.
She's. Can I go?
Go ahead, Rushmi.
Oh, okay. Okay. Good evening, all. Namaste. I have been an advocate for safety for our district for several years. I have helped establish needed stop sign for one of the elementary school. That advocacy prompted me to run for CEC to help advocate for safety for other schools. In one of the meetings, one of my safety questions was taken out of context and was misunderstood. My apologies if I offended anyone and made anyone feel uncomfortable. That truly was not my intent. Being on the CEC has involved me in many difficult conversations that we are faced with to make better decisions for our community. I want to make it clear that I'm an advocate for diversity, safety, and respect for all kids and parents. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashmi. Are there any other council members that would like to state anything? I believe Sana's statement was kind of encompassing and was based upon the feeling of the council as a whole. So I thank you for your acknowledgements. I thank you for your comments. And at this point, I'd like to move on with our meeting. Sure, I believe. I believe, so we have two candidates that are running for election for our open seats, Crystal Gonzalez and Eden Rubenstein. I believe Crystal wanted to make a comment. Crystal, I'm going to give you the floor.
Yes, I wanted to read something that I wrote. Good communication is the
So we can't hear you, Crystal. I apologize if you could speak up.
Good communication is the key to all relationships. Silence is the most active form of it. When situations arrive and you know something should be said, you should stand your ground and speak your piece. The greater good should always be the priority. Not doing so could harm the very people you are hoping to protect. As a team or in a work environment, you should be open and transparent. Each and every person should feel comfortable to raise concerns without backlash. Communication begins within yourself, and that may be the hard part for some. It is easier to communicate and advocate with others and for others, but advocating for yourself sometimes isn't so easy to do. Speaking up is the root of all social changes, including within councils. I will not take away from who I am or what I want to become for a seat on this council or anywhere else by staying quiet. When boundaries and values are being violated, it's time to speak up. Council members should have no personal bias. They should be open-minded, committed, understanding, and be able to compromise. Integrity is a must, along with good judgment. You have to listen and communicate, acknowledge your strengths and weaknesses, be a team player, agree to disagree, respectfully work on a solution or resolution. Always remember our goal. Our children, our students achieving. That's what it's all about. At the last interview, I was profiled, racially and personality profiled. There is no place for that on this council, and it should never be. It should never be accepted or overlooked. Our district is very diverse. Council members should be welcomed, embraced, council members should welcome and embrace that diversity. On a council, members who have prejudiced perspectives or stereotypical perceptions should not be allowed. There should be no place on councils for members who have prejudiced perspectives. Our district is full of diversity that should be welcomed and embraced at all times. Thank you.
So Crystal, we want to acknowledge and we appreciate your comments, and basically we made our statement, and we certainly appreciate that you stand up for your integrity, and we thank you. And again, we apologize if something was misconstrued, and I don't know if we didn't hear the complete statement because part of it was unintentionally muted, but I understand what you're saying, and we thank you for that. So at this time, I think it's only appropriate that we take the vote on the candidates to fill in the one CEC member vacancy that we have open at this time. What we'll do is I'll ask Carly to go through the roll call vote, and then we'll see if we have 6 members who will vote for the candidate, and hopefully have a new candidate that will be able to join our council this evening.
Joseph D. Benedetto,
Crystal Gonzalez.
Wayne Yu. I abstain. Anne Marie Knable,
Crystal Gonzalez.
Joseph Chow, Shirley Lee. I abstain. Rashmi Krishnaraj,
I abstain.
and Michelle Frederick.
Crystal Gonzalez.
So we have
Carly,
We
you
have
missed Sana.
4 votes, correct?
You missed
Sana, did you ask Sana?
Sorry, Sana Tayeb. Still
Sorry, I don't have the last name. Eden.
waiting.
Ethan Rubenstein.
Thank you.
Is that who your vote is for?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Sorry, Sana.
so how many do we have? We have
1 for Eden, 1, 2, 3 for Crystal, and 4 for abstain.
Okay, so we're going to need, and Juliana Fedorov from FACE is here, so correct me if I'm wrong. We're going to need 6 votes for 1 particular council members, right? So I'm going to ask that we go through, does anyone have any statements to make before I ask for the vote one more time, in hopes that those that abstain would in fact put a vote forward? Is there anything I can do, or anything that we can talk about you submitting a vote? Why don't we do it this way? Let's go through the roll call vote one more time and see if the votes change.
Joseph D. Benedetto,
Crystal Gonzalez.
Wayne Yu. Abstain. Anne Marie Knable,
I just want to make a statement before I make my vote here. As a council, it's our responsibility to vote in new members. Abstaining is not a fair vote. It's not progressing the council. My vote remains for Crystal Gonzalez, but I'm going to ask the rest of you to really think that it's not helping the council to abstain. Please choose a candidate.
Joseph Chow, Shirley Lee. Rashmi Krishnaraj,
I abstain.
Michelle Frederick,
Crystal Gonzalez.
Sana Tayeb.
Eden Rubenstein.
So I have 3 for Crystal, 3 for Eden, and 2 abstain.
So once again, we have 8 votes, correct? With 2 abstaining, and we have 3 for Crystal and 3 for Eden. I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna ask those that abstain, and repeating what Anne Marie Knable had to say, we're serving no function if we're not able to vote on new council members. I'd ask that if you reconsider, and let's try to get this vote moving forward. So let's try this one more time.
Joseph D. Benedetto,
Crystal Gonzalez.
Wayne Yu. Eden. Anne Marie Knable,
Crystal Gonzalez.
Joseph Chow, Shirley Lee. Rashmi Krishnaraj,
Eden,
Michelle Frederick,
Crystal Gonzalez.
and Sana Taya.
Eden Rubenstein.
Okay, so we have all 8 council members voted. And we have 5 council members voting for Eden Rubenstein and 3 council members voting for Crystal Gonzalez. Juliana, one more time. We need to have 6 vote for the council member to come on. Is that correct?
6 is correct.
Okay, so do you want to engage in any conversation and try to come to terms? Is there anything that you'd like to state, Anne Marie?
लोग 77 party chat करने
Okay, so is there any other member that would like to state something in favor or against one of the candidates that they voted for? So we can try to hopefully get 6 votes in one direction.
I have a question, Joe. Do we have to keep going through the voting cycle until we receive 6, or we have, is there an end point to it?
So if we have, if we can try to come out of the deadlock the way we had our election for our officers, that we circulated the vote a couple of times and we ended up voting for the officers. But if we're going to be completely deadlocked, then we're not going to have a new member voted on this evening, unfortunately. So, I mean, I don't know if anybody has any comments for any of the candidates that they want to talk to the other members about. We had 2 very, very qualified candidates that had shown respect. They've come to our meetings. They've, at the request of the council, they came to a second interview. So I think we owe it to the candidates to try to work it out and vote on one application coming in. So, I want to talk about it and see if we can somehow get 6 votes for one candidate. But if it's not going to happen, then we're not going to keep voting for the same person. But Wendy, I'll let you talk.
Hi, good evening. I think at coming to this meeting, I think for everyone here was hard. And voting tonight is hard. And I personally feel that it's hard to make a statement because it is to the public. And so we all have to choose our words very carefully. So I think for tonight, maybe some of us that are not making a statement feel that they're uncomfortable because we now know how much our words are weighed in the public. So that's what I wanted to say.
So look, we're all elected onto the council from the public, and our vote has to be made public. We can only do it during a public meeting. So if it's not about the words, it's about who we're voting for, which is ultimately going to make the decision who comes onto the council. So, like I said, we have 2 very highly qualified candidates. I will state that I voted for Crystal because I believe that Crystal is a person of integrity, and I think it's good that she serve on this council because she is not afraid to speak up, and that is why we function as a council, because we all come in with different perspectives, and I commend her for speaking up, and that kind of was part of the reason why I voted for her, because even though I think Eden is very qualified, and she would also be an asset on the council. I just think that it's good for this council to have a diverse group of people who are not afraid to speak up. So that was why I had voted for Crystal. But I cannot, that's my vote, and you're all entitled to your votes. And Eden, I appreciate that. I'm sorry, I know that you wanted to speak up, and I apologize for not giving you the opportunity, but perhaps we'll put you on now, and hopefully we can get this council moving. Eden, you can make your statement.
Eden, can you unmute? You should be co-host.
So I just want to clarify. So Crystal's response, I think, was in response. Crystal's comments were in response to our statements. So I understand that, but I do not want to show unfairness to Eden, and I will allow Eden to speak at this time.
Okay. Eden, you should be able to speak. I made you co-host.
Yeah, I was able to now, Carly. Thank you.
Hi, Eden.
Hi, Joseph. Thank you. Just to kind of speak up a little bit, in regards to that whole statement that was made tonight, and even in response to Crystal's comment, I know that when this discussion took place, I did not speak up that day. I could not speak up the day that took place. So yes, I agree. That Crystal had spoken up more. I actually had my children in front of me, and I was not able to speak up on the incident that took place, and I did not feel it was appropriate for me to do so. However, I obviously, Anne Marie, I know you acknowledged my nod of my head that evening and everything like that. There was very similar feelings. I did not feel some of the strong feelings about certain things that Crystal felt, personal to herself, but there was a lot of the head nod, things like that, that I was in agreement with certain things she was feeling. So I want to make sure that was known to the council. I just could not speak up about certain items at that moment. So I do want the council to understand that as well. However, obviously we both want the same things for the district. We both feel the same thing for the district, and we both want to make change. So that's really my biggest thing is I want to see the council be able to kind of come to an agreement to be able to make a vote, whether it be for myself or Crystal, because I want us to be able to kind of move forward with this. As we did come on for a second interview, and we did really want the chance to be able to start helping make a difference as both of us, regardless of whoever is the person chosen. I know we both want to see a difference made, and we both have things that we want to bring to the council to have differences made. So I just wanted to kind of chime in there and let everyone know that I could not speak up as much as I wanted to that evening in regards to the statements that were being made, but that there was some agreement there, just not as strong of a feeling on certain items in that sense. So I wanted to make sure that I did speak up on that now, because I couldn't say it that evening.
Thank you, Eden. And yes, I commend you once again for making that statement right now. You are certainly very qualified, as is Crystal, and I hope that you did not take offense that I did not allow you to speak about
No,
it.
not a problem.
I
Thank
wish
you.
that we can vote you both on, because you're both amazing candidates, and we definitely need candidates like both of you on our council. We have one seat that we have to vote on. We still have 2 vacancies through our borough president appointees. So I would encourage either one of you or both of you to make your application as a borough representative appointee if we do not come to a successful vote this evening on one of you. Thank you, Eden, and thank you, Crystal. Now, I don't know if anyone else has any comments or questions, not really questions, but comments that they want to make to the other council members in hopes that we can vote one of our candidates on. So I would ask Carly to go through the roll call vote one more time. And let's see if we can come to an agreement. This is the fourth, this will be the fourth round. Crystal Gonzalez,
Crystal Gonzalez.
Eden Rubenstein.
Michelle Pfeiffer,
Crystal Gonzalez.
Hannah Tayeb.
Eden Rubenstein.
okay, so we're still at the 5-3. We don't have a sixth member voting. I don't know if Juliana, if you can guide us, because you, through face, we understand how the vote goes. I don't think we're going, unless either Anne Marie, myself, or Michelle to vote, because there's one vote missing for Eden. If that vote could be swayed, and if somebody wants to talk to us about it, if there's any chance that we can get one additional vote for Eden, then she'd be voted on to the council.
Does Sonia, Michelle, or Rocky have anything to say?
Do the council members that are not in here in person have anything to say? Either Sana, Michelle, Rushmi.
Joe,
Yes,
if I may.
of course.
Sorry, I was staying quiet because there's a lot of background noise happening in the house. I just wanted to be respectful, and especially because I was waiting for Eden to speak before I, made my stance public. Like you said, both of the candidates are exceptional. They're both very strong women. They're obviously very passionate about what they believe in, and they're vocal about it, which is something, commendable. The reason that I chose one candidate over another, even though I would love to have them both and learn from them both, is that one candidate displayed, at least for me, again, this is a very personal opinion, I could be very wrong about this, they bring to the table more empathy in some ways. And during the sensitive times that we are going through as a community, in addition to a strong vocal voice, what we really need is more empathy. So to me, empathy felt like a really strong trait and something that, should be put on the table. And also I feel like Crystal Gonzalez is a very strong parent leader. She's displayed that in many ways. She's already, part of the DPAC. She's very involved in her school community as well. And I feel like Eden is somebody that could definitely benefit from that similar opportunity and exposure as well. Thank you.
Understood. Say something?
I'd just like to say I'm resigning my seat on the CEC 25 effective this evening. I no longer respect this council. I no longer respect what's going on here. I feel the apology that was given tonight to Crystal and to the public was lackluster. It was an excuse, not an apology. I'm done. And I'm sad and I'm disappointed. Really disappointed. It's very hard to have empathy when you're being targeted. And that's what happened here. And overall, yes, we have two excellent candidates, but what's happening here tonight with this vote and the public and the comments that I'm seeing in the chat, it's not respectful. And it's not something that I want to be a part of anymore. And it's really sad because I dedicated a lot of time to this. This is my second time. I'm proud, was proud to be on this council. I'm not proud now. And I'm not afraid to speak my mind, and I appreciate anyone else that is. And that's what I think made me a good council member, because I've been one of the only ones to really speak up on tough issues. And it is a tough spot, and it's hard to say tough things and say to someone's face, I'm sorry I choose this, or I'm sorry you should have done this better, or to hear that you could have done something better. But part of being on this council is accepting all of those things and moving forward for what we say is the greater good. It's not happening here. The greater good stopped at a last meeting. So I'm struggling right now. So for me, I have to step away.
So Emery, I'm very sorry that you feel that way, and I want to convince you not to leave the council. But I think we may need to have to go into executive session at this time, because I need to know that we're able to move forward. So I'm going to, look, I'd like to go into executive session. I don't want the public to have to wait for a long time. So Emery, if you can just, are you okay with waiting till we have our executive session before making any decisions? And let's do that. Well, I'm gonna have to table the vote right now unless anyone is swayed on their vote. And I'm not swayed at this time. I don't think Anne-Marie is, and I just have to ask Michelle if she's going to alter her vote. And if, Michelle, are you there?
I'm here. I'm not altering it.
Okay, so we're going to be at a standstill, so I'm gonna have to table the vote and ask that we go into executive session after we go through the remainder of our agenda, just in fairness to the public. Okay, so we're going to table the vote on the candidate vacancy until later on, and move on to the remainder of our agenda. I'm going to put on our superintendent, Danielle Domingo, for her stay. Are you ready, Danielle?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and then we'll go into our, Louis, you got the report there? Good.
Good evening, everyone. So just a few announcements from District 25's office as well as Central happening in enrollment right now. The 3K application is open. The deadline to apply to 3K is April 14th. The pre-K application is closed. If you have a child born in 2018 and missed the deadline, you can still participate in the admissions process. Add yourself to programs waitlists today with your myschool.nyc account. Kindergarten offers are now available. The middle school application process is closed and offers will be released in May. The high school application is closed and offers will be released at the beginning of June. The SHSAT results and any testing specialized high schools offers for students who tested in December 2021 will be available earlier in April. The New York City School Survey has been extended until Friday, April 15th. Parents, if you have not already taken it, please know that it is something that my office engages with principals and school communities such as SLTs around parent and in middle school students' perspectives of their school. If you have not done so, please visit schools.nyc.gov for more information. I just joked. Or log into your New York City Schools account to take the Parent Guardian New York City School Survey without needing an access code. Our chancellor this year has asked all of our districts to set attendance goals for our students who, because of significant absences, may be on the verge of becoming chronically absent. We are engaging in a district town hall for all parents to join me for a meeting around student attendance, what's available at our schools for supports, and information for parents to help support their students at home. Our town hall will be Wednesday, April 13th at 6:30 p.m. on Zoom. Visit d25.nyc/event to register for this special event. School COVID-19 policy updates, early childhood mask reminder. The indoor mask mandate is still active for LIFE, Early Learn, infants and toddlers, 3K, pre-K, and 4410 classrooms. including those in family child care programs. Children 2 years and older and all staff and visitors in these classrooms must continue to wear face coverings indoors until further notice. Home test kits for return from spring recess. At home, COVID-19 test kits will be distributed to students before spring recess. A letter instructing parents when test kits should be used will be included. Use of the test kits is strongly encouraged. Participation is voluntary and staff and students are not required to show proof of a negative test result before being allowed to return to work and school. Summarizing 2022 in grades K through 8, we are very excited to offer students in grades K through 8 access to both academics and enrichment programming over the course of the day, including field trips, arts, activities, and outdoor recreation. Programs will be full day, in person, and planned and operated collaboratively by school principals and community-based organizations. The Summarizing 2022 enrollment application for families will launch mid-April. It is really important for all our families to know that seats will be available on a first-come, first-served basis. We have engaged with our principals and parent coordinators, and they will be communicating with families to make them aware of the application process, and that seats will be available first come, first serve. Note that families should be prepared to reference their student's 9-digit student ID number to apply. You can find it in your My Schools account on your student's report card, or if you cannot access it, you can call your school's parent coordinator and they will get it for you. It is really important for you to have that on the day that enrollment opens so you can register your child. Summarizing in K-5 academics, social emotional learning, and enrichment activities for 6 weeks, followed by a 7th week of DYCD CBO-led enrichment and trips. Our Summarizing for K-5 will run from August 5th to July 19th, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., followed by extended day enrichment until 6 p.m. So as of right now, for busing, the hours are 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and the extended enrichment day for other families who need it is until 6, but there will not be busing at 6. For grades 6 through 8, academic, social, emotional learning, and enrichment activities, including field trips to parks and other venues, will be from July 6th to August 12th, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., followed by extended day enrichment until 6 p.m. And the same thing for the busing. The busing is at 3 p.m., extended day, they will not be busing at 6 p.m. I'm very excited to celebrate our schools for the month of March. PS 244 formed a partnership with Adopt a Classroom at Burlington Code Factory, where they were awarded $5,000. Congratulations, PS 244. PS 130, I had the honor and privilege of attending their family reading buddies today, where parents and caregivers from all over the school community came to read to students across the community. It's a very exciting time. And it ended with a parent meeting with the principal where she engaged families in a chat around what type of books they would like to continue to see in their school libraries. So it was a very exciting day at PS 130. Celebrating our schools, PS 242 celebrates Women History Month. And PS 129 celebrating Cultural Heritage Day. So thank you to our schools. And that's it.
Thank you, Superintendent. So I look forward to seeing you at the town hall. Thanks for your statement. So the part of our agenda this evening deals with high school enrollment discussion. So I had wanted to bring the discussion to the community about high school enrollment because I was hoping that we could get a speaker to come and discuss the differences and announce the changes to high school enrollment this year, because I was approached by another district regarding a resolution to restore an academic rigorous selection process for screened high school programs. However, it was interesting because I had hoped that I would have Matthew Borghini join us this evening. He's the Senior Director of Admissions and Enrollment, but he told me he did not feel it was necessary or appropriate to come to the meeting because he stressed that the point system that apparently went into effect in January only applied to September 2022 admissions, and all the applications to high school were already submitted, I believe, in February, March. So I found that quite interesting because I also attended the CEC town hall with the chancellor before District 26 on March 22nd. And I was surprised to see that Mr. Borghini was present at that meeting as a presenter talking about high school enrollment. So I found it quite odd that he was not willing to appear this evening. And I do want to talk to you as a council and to the public that although I cannot force anyone to come to our meetings, I can promise you that we as a district should have some type of conversation about enrollment. And I know that Mr. Borghini had told me that it's the intention of the chancellor and the DOE to engage with the community about rolling out the terms of what would be high school enrollment for next year. So I think, although I'm not a proponent of signing on to someone else's resolution, I am a proponent of making our own resolution. And I think we as a council should make a resolution demanding that the chancellor and the DOE engage with the parents and the community before releasing any selection criteria and admission processes, especially for the screened high school programs. So those that don't really understand the changes, I have to tell you that on January 27th of this year, without any prior engagement and without any parent community engagement, the DOE released the new selection criteria for admissions process. And they created this point system where students' ranking was based on grades into four selections. And as District 26 put in their resolution, some of the selection groups incorporated a wide range of students. So my understanding, and I don't know if Superintendent, you can explain it, perhaps, I'm not sure, but the one category put children with grades between 85 and 100 in category 1, and then other students from 75 to 84 in category 2, and so on and so forth. So what happened is the students that were in category 1 and went into the screened high school programs had a wider range, meaning a student could have had an 85 average and would have made it into a school above a student that had a 97 average, right? So I don't know if our district or if the public really understands what that means, but that was kind of the basis of why District 26 created their resolution. So I was hoping to have some more guidance this evening so we as a council would understand the admissions process and hopefully create our own resolution. But we're not able to do that right now. I don't want to put you on the spot, Superintendent. It's exactly the way I explained it. Okay, so
For this year.
For this year, and again, this year the admissions is already done because the applications are in, but I don't think it really hit the fan because the results are not in yet. So I believe that once parents get the results of where their students will be going or will not be going, they're going to question what happened. And that's why I wanted to bring that discussion.
Additionally, in our engagement with with enrollment, one of the things that I know that they had said to me and Juliana and also to Joe is that this process is going to be looked at. And parent engagement will happen this year for next year's high school application process. So that they said that we will be one of the first districts that they come to, engage with, but they were very clear that this process is being looked at and reviewed.
Exactly. I'm sorry if I didn't relay that message properly. Yes, Mr. Borghini had told me that they're still working on what the process will be, and they have every intention of engaging with the community. And I would hope that he is good on his word, that he would come to our district in the beginning to engage with us as one of the first ones. But I still think that we as a council should make a resolution and actually demand it, with the chancellor. So I don't know what the other members on the council feel about that. We can talk about it now. I don't know if we have any other opinions here. Mr. Chapter.
Joseph, thank you. Thank you, Superintendent. I had a question, but you answered it in your presentation. That's great. Even though it's not exactly what we're here for, but it is the future of our children. So if you want to do it, I'll be supporting you.
Anybody else? I don't want to put anybody on the spot.
Although my child is not yet going through this process for a very long time, I do hope, I am on board with this resolution. When I read this in the news, it was very shocking. It was a complete overhaul of the traditional process that was in place that worked for many, many years. And it just came out of left field. So yes, I agree. Parent engagement is definitely needed.
Thank you, Wendy. So yeah, so we don't create the policy because we're not a school board in the sense that the mayor and the chancellor and DOE makes the policy, but they always promise that that they will engage with the community. So that's why I feel that the resolution just say, look, asking that they participate in engagement with the community. We discuss it, and hopefully that it'll be a decision that they take the community's concerns into consideration. But ultimately, we don't make that call. We don't decide what the enrollment is. Are there any other council members present this evening that would like to say anything remotely? Okay, so if everyone is in agreement, and I will draft some type of resolution, and I'll bring it to our next business meeting or whatnot, and we can talk about it and hopefully maybe vote on a resolution on that topic. Any other comments on that? Okay, so then moving along, is there any other item of new business we need to bring up before I ask for the public agenda and speaking time? Sure, Wendy.
This goes back to the summarizing program that the superintendent mentioned. I was wondering, would there be a list of schools? I guess it would be on the website when the registration starts to find out which schools in our district is part of the summarizing, right?
Yeah, so there will be, when you go to register,
There will be a drop-down menu, but as soon as we get the finalized list, it will be on the DOE website and it will also be on our D25 website. But when you go to register, there'll be a drop-down option as well.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Superintendent. Any other council members appearing this evening have anything to say? Any other items of new business or questions? I can't see Carlos.
Francis Gonzalez.
So I'm only giving the floor to the council members at this time. Francis, I know you have your hand raised. We have a public speaking time, which is going to be followed in a few minutes. So I would ask if you don't mind signing up for that, and I'll put you on at that time. Anyone else from the public, if you want to make any statements or comments, I'll allow you your 3 minutes during our public speaking time. So if there's no other item of new business by our council members, Anne Marie, do you have anything to say? I do want to still, discuss about possibly going into executive session based upon what Anne Marie stated earlier, but we're going to have to take that to vote. But out of respect to the public, I want to table that till the end of this meeting, okay? So at this time, Carly, I'll ask you to, is there a list there of who's going to speak publicly?
I don't have a specific list here. I know Francis had her hand up and Patrick Foy.
Okay.
Patrick Foy is
So
a co-host.
I don't know who went first without excluding somebody. Let's start with, I saw Francis first. Is that okay? And Patrick, I'll come to you next. Francis Gonzalez.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Good evening, everyone. I'm just a little taken back by tonight's meeting, I have to say. I commend all of you for standing on the CEC, and I just want to remind everyone that everyone here that's a CEC member tonight was voted in by their community, and it is because you were all great candidates. What I appreciate Joseph and Rashmi for being brave to make an apology. What I was confused about is that we already expressed that both candidates, Crystal and Eden, were excellent candidates, but but it just seems that the council doesn't want to fill in the seat, because if the majority of the council is 5 Eden and 3 Crystal, I don't understand if the goal is to fill in the seat and you both already express that they're both great candidates, you have a win-win situation, whether Crystal gets the seat or Eden gets the seat. But it almost felt that some of the members were trying to sway the other members to their vote. And then for a member to say they're resigning because they didn't respect someone's apology was very uncomfortable for me to watch as a parent leader. And I feel that a CEC should be empowering more parents and not discouraging people because of their different opinions. So I really didn't like what I saw tonight, and it made me feel uncomfortable, that whole conversation and that whole swaying. And if I were Eden, I would feel uncomfortable to think that the majority of the board wants me, but there's 3 people that just want the rest of the people. It just seems a little easier to sway 1 vote than 3. So that's what I was confused about.
Thank you for your comments, Crystal. I believe Anne Marie wanted to comment.
Thank you, Francis. I really appreciate your passion, everything you do for the district. And I have to say, I really wish that you had come to the forefront for me on occasions when I was up against the targeting by Rashmi as well. And it is uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable when someone in the council is not, meeting the same moral standard that everyone should have here as public elected people. So I'm sorry that if you think that Eden should feel a certain way, or you think that I should change my vote because of a poor apology, I don't agree with what happened here. And I'm not going to change my vote because I don't agree with what happened here. So in fairness now, I think I couldn't vote for either one of them because of what happened here. But I appreciate what you had to say and thank you for it. But in that, I hope that you remember in the future to stand up for all the wrongs that you see, because that's what we're here for.
So sometimes, we're all adults here, and it's true, we're all elected onto the council because we represent our constituents. But for me, that's more reason why, if I'm voting, I'm going to vote on my convictions or what I believe in. It is a close vote. It's 5-3. It's not that easy to sway votes. I don't believe anyone here is trying to sway the vote. I'm just questioning whether or not we can come to terms on 6 votes. According to our bylaws, we would have to get 6 votes to bring on a new member, and we don't have that. So regardless if we have a majority of those who voted on one side, we still need the vote of 6 members to bring that council member on. So I don't know if any other council member has a comment on Ms. Gonzalez's. Okay. Our next speaker, Carly.
Fennel.
We have Fennel Dorsainville. I apologize.
Dorsainville?
From PS 20.
Thank you. My name is Fennel Dorsainville. Thank you. You're close. All right. Thank you, everybody. Good evening. My name is Fennel Dorsainville. I'm a 5th grade teacher at PS 20. I'm also joined by Mr. Gonzalez, one of the physical education teachers, Mr. Foy, one of our administrators, and Carly Brower Murphy, who was Scott Brower's sister. We are also joined, I see other members of the family including his wife, Mary Elizabeth, and daughter, Anna Grace Brower. And I also see other members of their family, as well as other members of our school and staff community. I just want to start off by saying thank you for giving us the opportunity to just talk a little bit about what Scott Brower meant to us, both personally, professionally, and what he meant to our school community. I'm going to share my screen, which will just showcase just a few images, just to put, associate a face with a name, because you guys are going to be hearing the name, but we also want you guys to see who we're talking about. So Scott was like a brother to me. He was my brother. It was always easy being around him, easygoing, never any tension, which is what you would want in a friendship. And I always wanted to be around him. And whether he knew it or not, anytime I saw him, he made my day better. Whether I told him it or not, I know he knew. And I was fortunate enough to have him as soon as I stepped foot at that school. I was also lucky enough to co-coach the basketball team with him. And it is there where I saw just really how strong his impact was. He was able to get the best out of the students and to see them grow from when we would first see them on tryouts to the very end of the year at our student and staff basketball game. It would just be a joy to watch these kids grow. He always was able to make a connection with kids and relatable. Cultural responsiveness is very important in our district. And he was just that even before that term became popular. And it was easy for him and natural. It was natural and easy for him to make a connection with the kids, to be able to relate with them. They always loved talking with him. You would come back from preps. He would also deliver instruction in the classroom with health. And you would come back from prep and the kids didn't want him to leave. They're like, Mr. D, they would say, Mr. D, can we continue to talk to Mr. Brower? And I'm like, no, he's got to go to his next class, or we got to finish the lesson we started before. So the kids always loved just interacting with him. And it didn't matter their gender, it didn't matter their race, it didn't matter their age. He was able to connect with everyone. And with our basketball practices, we would always see, former students who graduated would always be at the door, at the entrance of the school, trying to get in to join our practices, to help out with our practices, just to talk to Mr. Brower. I'm talking like 5 to 10, literally every practice. And that just shows you just the impact he had. When the news broke out, these former students and their families organized, they took the initiative on their own. And they did a memorial at night in the evening time for him. They coined the phrase, everyone for Brower, E4B. And again, that just shows the impact he had in the whole community, not just in the school building. And they would not do that just for anybody if they didn't care or if the person did not have a big impact on them. I miss my brother, I miss my friend, but it does help to talk about him. It helps to share positive stories. So again, I thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. And I'm gonna pass it on to Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you very much, Fanel. Well said, well said. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the time and the opportunity. A very important, very heartwarming opportunity to express our feelings, getting a chance to share with everybody who sit at the council, just a small anecdote, a big heart in our school. Yesterday, I spoke with my partners, Anna Stithos and Pamela Sharon, about how Scott had complimented and enriched our lives. Anna had told us for a good number of years, her and Scott would walk together in the hallways. Anna quickly noticed how everyone, students to teachers, would call out Scott's name to say hello. Mr. Brower, Mr. Brower. It became an ongoing joke because after a good number of days, Anna and Scott were able to predict how many seconds it took for someone in the school to yell out Scott's name while he was in the hallway. How many seconds? 3 seconds. It took an average of 3 seconds for PS20 to long for Mr. Brower's attention. The same amount of time it takes to hug someone you care about and to hug someone you miss. Pamela Sharon had always loved the laughter that resonated in her office day after day. We would all witness Scott having fun with everyone. Pam declared he had an uncanny ability to tap into other people's personalities. Whenever she needed something fixed or advice of any kind, Scott always made time for her and delivered the help she desired. As for myself, I've always admired his strength of character. It was one that he could overcome any problematic situation. I always had confidence in his words and solutions. Lastly, I thank God that I got to work and interact with Scott on a daily basis. I was lucky. We worked together. We worked well. His style complemented mine. I loved him like a younger brother. Working with Scott was a great improvement in my quality of life, and for that, I am eternally grateful. Thank you. Next to speak will be our assistant principal, Mr. Patrick Foy.
Thanks, Mr. Gonzalez. Good evening, everybody. My name is Patrick Foy. I'm, like John said, the assistant principal at PS20, and I'd just like to thank Superintendent Domingo and the CEC for this opportunity to honor Scott. Fennell said it best. He was a brother to me and a best friend in the building and a best friend to PS20. I met Scott about 10 years ago when I first started, and he met me as a nervous young kid coming in as an assistant principal. And just like these guys had just said, he found me and helped me. We hit it off immediately. We connected instantly. We had a lot of the same interests in movies and music and definitely sports. And my God, he was the most competitive person that I knew. Whatever he was doing, wiffle ball, basketball, telling a story, he wanted to be the best. And we laughed about it. I looked forward to seeing him every single day, walking into that building. And I know the kids did too. I think the most that we had in common, him and I, and a lot of teachers in our building, was the love for kids. He found those kids that needed it most. I don't know how he did it. He had a knack for it. The kids that needed it the most, whether it was a home life situation or tough making friends or making grades, he just knew how to find that person. And when he walked away from that person, they were better, much better, just like me. Somebody had said to me, and I can't remember who, when we got the news of Scott and we were in the building, and somebody had said he's like a pebble in a pond, and I can't get it out of my head. The ripple effect that Scott has and still has forever in our building, it's profound. Just one person could make such a difference in so many people's lives. It's amazing. And he did it better than anybody that I've ever met. And just clearly stated, he was a legend, and his memory will live forever. And I look forward to these next few weeks and months to be able to honor Scott with his family at PS 20 and the community around us, to show them how much he was loved. That's it. Hopefully I could turn it over to his sister Carly now, if she's here.
Thanks, Patrick. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. On behalf of my family, my parents, Alan and Michelle, Scott's wife, Mary Elizabeth, their daughter, Anna Grace, I want to thank the CEC for inviting us to be here today to honor my brother's life and work. Scott Brower was many things to many people, as you just heard: an incredible friend, colleague, coach, teacher, mentor, father, husband, son, and brother. But he was everything to me. He was my big brother, my protector, my collaborator, my ally, and my adversary. We challenged each other intellectually and creatively, and we constantly butted heads, but we understood each other better than anyone, and we were each other's biggest fan. I was so proud of him when he became a teacher, and especially when he pursued a second master's in physical education and sports pedagogy at Manhattanville, the college where I teach. Scott was incredibly smart and talented and could have excelled in many different professions, but he found his calling as a phys ed teacher. He truly loved his students and coaching, and he brought that passion to every class, practice, and game. That joy you see in his huge, goofy smile was infectious, uplifting every student and colleague who crossed his path. He had boundless energy and was even quicker in conversation than he was on the basketball court, always ready to respond with a joke, a rhyme, or a pop culture reference. He could talk to anyone from all walks of life, age 1 to 100, and find common ground. He not only made you feel understood, when you were around Scott, you felt special. Just as he was my big brother and protector, I am sure that Mr. Brower played that role for every one of his students. The world is dimmer without my brother's light, but his legacy lives on in his students, who will carry on his lessons in kindness, compassion, and good sportsmanship. I hope that we remember that we are all part of Mr. Brower's team, and even through our sadness, whenever we think of him, we feel the joy that he brought to the game. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to say that we were deeply saddened to hear of this tremendous loss, and we offer our sincere condolences to the Brower family and the PS 20 family as well. I believe our superintendent wanted to say something.
Good evening. I too offer condolences to the Brower family and the PS 20 family. I was with the PS 20 community when we first learned of the passing of Mr. Brower. And I can say, just in working with the children, he will live on in every inch of and every hallway and classroom of that school. And beyond. There are students in our middle schools and high schools who have reached out to the district, really just remembering and wanting to celebrate the life of Mr. Brower and the impact that he had on them. I can say there's a lot of things that I look for when I come to schools, and you guys know I'm about rigorous instruction. I'm about a lot of, making sure that we have social emotional learning and all of the things that we need for education. But the biggest thing that I look for is love. And I can say that Mr. Brower touched the lives of tens of thousands of students, and that is what he offered them, and that is what they needed the most, and that was love. Today is, this month is actually Poem in Your Pocket month, and yesterday I was saying to all of my principals, you get extra credit if I come to your schools and your kids have poems in your pocket. So parents, make sure your kids have poems in your pocket this month. But today I was reading my poem to one of the students at PS 130. It actually reminded me of what I wanted to say about Mr. Brower tonight. So it's the E.E. Cummings poem, and one of the things that I know is that his students and his PS 20 family and the Brower family will carry him in their hearts. and everywhere they go, he will be with them. So once again, I do offer my condolences.
Anyone else want to say anything from council?
Hey, Joe, I'll say something.
Sure, go ahead.
This is Rashmi. So it touched my heart and my soul, and I'm going to get emotional. So it's amazing to see that somebody who lived his life, his legacy can go on. It's amazing. So that's all I'll say. I'll start crying. It was wonderful. Sorry. It was amazing. So God bless his soul. His soul will forever live with us. And I'll remember pebble in the water. That's amazing. I'll remember that, and it will have a calming effect for me. So thank you for sharing it.
Yes, thank you for your thoughts. And once again, our sincere condolences to the Brower family and the PS20 community. Are there any other comments on our list there, Carly?
Oh, yes, one more. From Councilmember Sandra Ong's office.
So do we have Shane from Councilmember Sandra Ong's office here? Shane?
Hold on. Shane, your co-host.
Hi, I'm here. First off, my condolences to the Brower family and PS20. That was a very touching story. I just wanted to introduce myself, and I'm Shane Miller. I work for Councilwoman Sandra Ong. I'm probably going to be attending the meetings from here on out every month. I don't want to take up a bunch of your time. I just want to let you know I left my contact info in the chat. And so if anybody needs to reach out or needs anything from our office, please feel free to contact me. On a side note, we're also having a summer camp fair next week, and I'll just leave the info in the chat as well, but we have a bunch of summer camps who are coming, and we're going to host them all in one evening. So if any parent is looking to put their kid in a summer camp, we'll have a bunch there. But I know that you guys have a busy agenda, so I'll let you get back to your meeting, and thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Shane, and we look forward to seeing you and working with Councilmember Og as well. And you're always welcome to join our meetings. Is there anyone else on the public speaking list at this time? Okay, so before I adjourn the meeting, I think I'm going to have to table the vote. I cannot call a executive session without someone else making the motion and without having 6 people vote to go into executive session. So Mr. Chow had made the motion, makes the motion. Thank you, Mr. Chow. And I think we need to go through a roll call vote to see if we are going to be able to go into executive session.
Joe, can we ask Juliana?
We have to put, Juliana Fedorov is here, and I don't want to put you on the spot, Juliana, but I believe we have to call the reason why we are going into executive session to the public. Is that correct?
That's correct. I'm sorry, my audio cut out when I put my video on.
Okay, so Mr. Shah, do you understand why we're going into executive session?
Yes.
So
we want to have executive session regarding what.
Okay, so the executive session regards what Anne Marie Knable had stated earlier this evening about her intended resignation, and we're going to take a vote on whether or not we will go into executive session on that subject.
Joe and the council member, can we take a vote also to have Juliana on it? Because it will just make it a little bit better.
Let's first decide if we're going to be able to go into executive session, and then I'll entertain motions to have Juliana join us.
Joseph DiBenedetto,
I'm in favor.
Wing Yu,
I am in favor of this.
Anne Marie Knievel. Yes. Sung Yun Lee, oh, sorry, Joseph Chow,
Favor.
Sung Yun Lee. Rashmi Krishnaraj,
Yes.
Michelle Frederick,
Yes.
and Sana Tayeb.
In favor?
Everyone was like to go to executive.
Okay, so we are going to go into executive session. Before we do that, I think Rashmi has a motion.
Yes, I would like to have Juliana in our executive session because last executive session was not good. It just looked like council's members. It was personal attack. There were statements,
So the
unfair
reason I was
statements
going
being
into
said.
executive session, Rashmi, not to interrupt you, is because it's exactly that. It's
Right, so
statements made not publicly between council members.
I understand, but
So,
Juliana,
is your motion to add Juliana on?
yes,
Okay,
because
so,
it has to be a little bit more civil than last time.
okay, so let's just go through the motion. We can vote on it. Okay, so why don't you do the roll call on to whether Juliana joins us at the executive session?
Joseph DiBenedetto,
No.
Wing Yu.
No.
Anne Marie Knievel. No. Joseph Chow. Joseph Chow. Sung Yun Lee.
No.
Rashmi Krishnaraj.
I'll go, but if it becomes an attack on me, I'm going to leave, okay?
The question is, are you voting to
Yes.
have Juliana join us?
Okay.
And your answer is yes.
Michelle Frederick,
No.
Sana Tayeb.
No.
So it's 7-1. Again, sorry, Juliana. So before I adjourn this meeting, I'm going to have to report back. So I apologize to the public. And Carly, you're going to have to put us into a private room, just the council members and those present here.
Juliana, can Catherine stay during executive session?
Can
Yes,
Catherine,
yes, Catherine's a member of your council.
she's a member of our council, so she's able to stay. So I thank the public and I appreciate your patience and I hope to be back in a few minutes.
Bye. Good night.
So welcome back, and I want to publicly apologize to the community. We were gone, I don't know, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So we needed to work some things out during our executive session. As indicated, the executive session was strictly about comments made by Anne Marie Knievel and her intended resignation. It seems that we have resolved that, I hope. And I am going to give the microphone to Anne Marie.
Thank you, Joe. I just want to apologize for getting a little bit over emotional on my feelings on the contents of the meeting. And I officially retract my resignation from the council.
We're happy that you are staying. We still need to vote on one more elected member. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to come to agreement on that vote this evening. And I apologize sincerely to both candidates. I'm gonna have to table that vote for our next meeting because it doesn't look like we're gonna have anyone budging on either side. And I respect that. So I hope that you respect that as well. But I apologize that the process is drawn out. So at this time, if there's any other comments from any of our other members on the council, I'll allow you to speak before I adjourn the meeting. Okay, so if there are no other comments or items of new business, I'm going to adjourn our calendar meeting for this evening and wish everyone a healthy and happy holiday for spring break. Do you call it spring break? And we look forward to seeing you all at our next meeting, which is scheduled for May 4th, Wednesday, May 4th. The 4th be with you. I think we still have to, I don't think the public meetings law extension has changed. So those who are here in person will continue to come in person. And I guess we'll get further guidance from the governor on whether or not we have to all appear in person. So we're going to jump right into the business meeting. And we're going to adjourn this calendar meeting. Thank you everyone for your patience, and I look forward to seeing you next month. Take a 1-minute break. Okay, so am I back on? Perfect. So thank you again. So we're going to jump right into our business meeting. The public is always welcome, and they're about to join public business meeting. So let's call the meeting to order and let's do the roll call.
Joseph Di Benedetto.
Present.
Wing Yu. Present. Anne-Marie Knable. Present. Joseph Chow.
Still present.
Sun Young Lee. Rashmi Krishnaraj. Rashmi. Okay. Michelle Frederick.
Present.
Sana Tayeb.
Present.
Michelle.
Oh, so Michelle, I think Rashmi's here now.
No, because we said
Michelle said yes. No?
No,
Michelle
Rashmi said
Frederick.
yes.
You have to give her permission again.
Oh, she's not on.
Yeah, if she logged up, it's actually.
I'm sorry, I didn't know she even logged in. Okay. Well, they're still co-hosts. And
All right, council members that are here remotely, you should still be on as co-hosts.
okay, except for
So I don't know, we're all present, right? You got, I saw Rushman's here and Michelle's here. And okay. So do we have consensus on the minutes from last month?
Yes.
Okay, consensus? I'm good with it?
Yes.
Okay, so the minutes are hereby approved. Let's talk about the, let's do our any subcommittee. So we know what happened at our, well, we have a couple of subcommittees. We have the, that resolution, which may have been modified a bit. I don't know, Mr. Chair, if you have any report backs from that subcommittee meeting?
Yes, I'm looking for my.
Okay,
Okay.
so as you, here you go. You need the microphone.
First of all, I would like to thank our superintendent for providing me with the data that I was looking for. A check of the data did not indicate one way or another if any racial groups have been the target of attacks in District 29. It was suggested that we include all groups, including Black Lives Matters, No Black Lives Matters, No Lives Matters, and students and IEPs in the resolution to cover it. I certainly do not know these categories as well as other members. Therefore, I would like to resign as a subcommittee chair and allow the other member to take over so they can finish the resolution. Thank you.
Does anybody want to sit as chair of that subcommittee? So it seems that the subcommittee on anti-Asian hate crimes kind of changed, right? Because from the way the subcommittee went last month, it wasn't just about that. So I think we may have to rename the subcommittee or decide on whether or not we need to prepare a resolution on all types of bias, right? Because we started as one thing and then ended up as another. So does anyone have any opinion or suggestions on how we are to move forward on the suggested resolution, which obviously changed from what it first came out to be? You understand what I'm saying?
I think with regard to renaming the subcommittee, it should be changed to Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity Subcommittee. Would that be more appropriate? I think with regard to the resolution, I think we need to revisit and maybe reshift and refocus and look into it further.
So I kind of agree. I don't know what the other council members, whether or not they agree with Wendy, because I do agree. We should rename it the way you state. And then I think the subcommittee, if it's the same members or not, we need to get a chair. And then we need to determine whether or not we are in need of a resolution, right? Because we don't know what the issues are in regards to our district and what is missing, or if anything, or if we want to make a statement. So does anyone else have an opinion on that? Renaming the subcommittee?
I was going to say that I'm sorry that you stepped down from that, Joe. I think that you had a good idea bringing it to the table to begin with. I think those are two very important issues that have happened in the last 2 years, Black Lives Matter and the anti-Asian bullying. I think those are definitely topics that we want to address as a council, that we are against those things. And I think that's a relevant resolution to make, maybe with the first 2 paragraphs being directly to those 2 specific topics, because they've been so prevalent in the news. And so, affects our children, definitely, their parents, our community. And then maybe from there, just inclusive, make it inclusive, of everything from that point on. But I think it definitely should address your issue and Michelle, what she brought to the table, and, and encompass everybody.
Anyone else? Council members who are here remotely?
Joe, I would just say that I second Anne Marie. I agree with her suggestion. I think that those 2 movements in particular, are very predominant. They're predominantly discussed in the news, and we were often hearing and seeing about these incidences. And at the very least, I want to be honest and fair over here that when in the last meeting, when Mr. Chow was putting forth the resolution, and everybody was kind of giving their ideas of what should be included in it, and it really swayed away from the intention of it. I felt like maybe in trying to be too inclusive, we took away the initial intention of it. So perhaps just focusing on, like Anne Marie said, just focusing on 2 of these focuses, perhaps, or topics, may be a better way to take it, and not just change the direction of it altogether.
Thank you, Sana. Anyone else? So yeah, those are two difficult topics and two very serious topics. And I think at this point, we really need to take it to the next level, right? Because these are things that come up in our discussions as a council. So maybe we need to look into it. Superintendent?
So I just want to congratulate council on having this conversation, because it really is something that we spend a lot of time addressing with our schools. And Wendy, I want to thank you for this whole idea of inclusion, diversity, and equity committee, because I think the reason why that's so important is in that equity lens, it's about like constantly and consistently recognizing and redistributing power and issues. So calling out some of the things that we do where we're recognizing as a CEC, which is kind of where I'm saying to Sana too, like we're saying that it's okay to say individual things if we need to recognize them. And then as a CEC, spend time and making that commitment to addressing it all at some time, right? So, and it's a struggle, and we do that just in terms of equity and access and diversity as a district. The conversations that I have with building leaders is how do we give for all, but then at the same time focusing on the needs of some. And I think it's really about what you surfaced. So I want to thank you for that. And it really does open up the conversation to talk about this, analyze some of the issues that are going on, like you said it. So I want to thank you guys for that.
Thank you, Superintendent. So now we need a chair of that subcommittee. I'm sorry to see you go, Mr. Chow. I'm sorry? No, go ahead. Are you still willing to chair it?
I look at some of the numbers that I got from the superintendent, right? If we were in the other district with number I'm not supposed to mention, it probably would have made more sense. But in this district, a lot of them are all zeros. So if you're going to base the resolution upon the numbers, it's going to be very difficult. But if you want to make a statement about what we think, how we feel, that's easy to do.
I agree. It may be just about a statement.
In support of Mr. Chow's initial initiative, may I suggest that in celebration of AAPI Heritage Month in May, I want to give a presentation highlighting contribution from the Asian American Pacific Islanders in American history. Would that be all right?
So are you saying that you want to have a presentation next month at our CEC meeting, or is that something?
Yes. Okay. Yes, it would not take too long of everyone's time. I don't know what May's agenda is, but maybe 10 minutes. Before you guys vote, I just want to say also that we are doing some curricular work across the district, and one of the spaces that we started was at PS 32, and they are working with the Korean consulate, and they are creating slides around Korean culture that are being vetted through universities with the support of the Korean consulate. So that's right, PS 32. So I could also at that time ask to show that work, because our teachers are really working, the dual language teachers are really doing a lot of strategic work around that. And it will be my pleasure to showcase it, because it is beautiful work, and we're working really across schools and across communities to create one space where all of our schools can visit to gain access to some really rigorous and cohesive resources and references to find out about the different communities and cultures that make up not just District 25, but the world. So, yep, I'll make sure that that's part of the presentation if you'd like. Let me know.
So I think that's a great idea. Let's just get a show of hands who's in favor of that.
I'm good too.
Okay, so it seems, I can't see Michelle, but it looks almost unanimous that we will present that at our next CEC meeting. So Carly, if you could just put that on the agenda and then we'll work on that. We can discuss it with the superintendent also. So that's a wonderful idea. I just want to go back to the subcommittee on inclusive, diversity and equity, the committee. Is anyone willing to chair that committee? So since we have the pleasure of naming it, we are respectful of that, and we congratulate you as the new chair of the Inclusive Diversity and Equity Committee. So what you'll do is, you know how to run a subcommittee. You'll call for meetings. Those that are on the care to join. So the name of the committee would be Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity. Okay. So that's great. That's good stuff. It's progress. So we have a couple of more meetings. So we need to step it up on that, right? If you guys are okay with the potential resolution about engaging the community for high school enrollment, I can start working on that. I don't know if you want to meet. I don't think we need to meet. I'll bring something next month and we can talk about it. Are you okay with that? Yes. Show of hands. Okay. And then I see last month we also Rushmi wanted to head a subcommittee on school safety. Are there any report backs on that?
No, I think I did not get the data that I was working on, so I'm going to table that. I'll only move forward if I'm able to get the data and basically data behind it.
Okay, Rashmi, thank you. And then I believe, and I'll talk to the superintendent about that, we have 2 more meetings. We have May and June. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to misstate, but I think we usually do something for those staff members who got there's 2 things, right? We do.
So I wanted to ask about next month in June. Next month is usually, well, actually we do it earlier, but because we were waiting for to hear about how our meetings were going to go. We normally do it in January, but I do know there was a conversation with UFT consultation asking if we can do the celebration of tenure in May, and then to do the CEC's normal student Big Apple celebration and teacher celebration again in June. Totally up to you.
So it's something that we typically do at our last meeting. We have that award ceremony for our students. We used to do it live, which was our most attended meeting of the whole year that we had to go to different schools for. The same thing with the 10-year celebration. It was one of our biggest attended meetings, especially with staff across the district, which is a really nice thing. I know that we're meeting hybrid. I don't know how we would be able to conduct an award ceremony. Last year we did it remotely, but we could talk about it if you want. We did like a remotely.
We asked each school to make a slide for their school, and who was going to organize.
So if you guys want to think about it, we can talk about it at our next meeting in terms of the celebration for tenure. Usually the UFT runs, they provide, right? Or the district office.
The certificates, we do the names.
So are you guys okay for that next month as well? The top of
Yeah,
the.
but we would submit that. We would give you those.
No, I'm saying that's to put in the agenda for me. That was what it's for. And Big Apple is in June.
know it's Big Apple students and teachers here.
In June. And UFT is in May.
So the UFT 10-year celebration is not a full meeting. It would just be, we can do it after your presentation.
Right.
It's just an
Yeah,
announcement.
we just announced all the names of the
So it's
teachers.
not, yeah.
So it's not a award ceremony.
No, the award ceremony would be for like the students, the Big Apple, you know,
So, yeah, so, you know, I'll tell you where it came from. There's a gap, you know, and when teachers receive tenure. So like right now, we're doing tenure for September, making tenures and decisions for September. So, so teachers, you know, a lot of times they'll say, did I get tenure, did I get tenure? So what we've done citywide is we've done certain dates. We'll take like from, you know, January 2021 to, you know, March 2022, right? Anybody who received tenure, that's when we do the celebration. But it's just a reading of the names, and then UFT makes certificates for them.
Because I know there's a UFT center now at PS 107.
Teacher center?
Yeah, teacher
Yeah, we
center.
have a few, yeah. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So we actually have 6 teacher centers now, and we're really excited about it. So as you guys know, that I'm really passionate about professional learning, and I think it's something that we continuously look to grow in. UFT teacher centers are spaces in schools where teachers can go to have access to resources. Where I know today, all of our teacher centers were going to training for an SEL program that was supported and created by Goldie Hawn. Is that her name? Goldie? Yeah, there was pictures. Yeah, there's I got pictures. So, and then what happens is those resources become part of a space for teachers to go to and get support. There's also a teacher assigned to the teacher center that helps and coaches both new teachers and teachers learning and experiencing new things like CRSE or any of our focus areas. So you know, I meet with the teacher center teachers, and then they help get that support within the schools for the teachers. We have one at 107, one at 20 PS 29. We have one at 185, 200, no, 201. Where else am I? I forget. There's 2 more that they, but they're really good teacher resource centers.
It's not just open to the teachers in that school, it's open to
any teachers, yes. So we're excited.
So I think we can, if we're all in agreement, we can do the, if we're all in agreement, we can do the month of May, you know, in our May meeting, the AAPI Heritage Celebration, right? And then we can perhaps do the, if it's workable with UFT, if you guys are okay with it, the 10-year celebration. And then we have another month, you know, to decide if we're gonna do the student celebration, but we do that every year. I think the community is probably gonna ask for it. So I don't think we should just strike it, right? We could talk about it next month. But if you want to be in touch with us, you know, regarding the AAPI celebration, you know, me, Carly, will work it out for sure. I mean, are we all in agreement we're gonna put it on for May? Right? Okay, so will be on the agenda for next month. I know that Juliana is here. She has, and I know, sorry, Juliana, we always do this. We put you on like the last 2 minutes. But I'm going to allow you to give your report to us. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Council. So bringing just a quick update in terms of parent engagement from FACE. Executive Director Christina Melendez said that all of you as the CEC should expect upcoming engagement on enrollment, on dyslexia, on career pathways, on digital learning, and on school quality. In most of these cases, it will be the CEC president who is engaged directly, but that's with the understanding that the president is sharing input from fellow council members, from all of you, who are then in turn gathering that community and school level feedback from your liaison schools. So please, I'm going to read those topics again. Think about enrollment, dyslexia, career pathways, digital learning, and school quality, specifically those school quality reports, like seeing school quality in that way. And it's important to, to begin reaching out and getting information from your community, perhaps while you're at pickup or drop off, and also when you're visiting your liaison schools, because unfortunately, Joe is only going, the president is only going to have a couple days notice in most cases before different meetings. So think about the topics and ask fellow parents for.
Thank you, Juliana. You froze. Are you there? Is she on?
Me? Are you talking to me?
No, where Juliana was speaking and she froze.
Yeah, it
on the
became.
screen here.
Yeah, it became frozen for me too. So I thought you said me.
So give her another moment to come back on. She's trying to get on, Carlos.
I'm so sorry. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can now hear you. You froze. We don't see you, but we can hear you.
Okay, I'm not sure why my internet did that. I really apologize. So in terms of, there's a digital learning parent advisory body being formed right now. And so if any of you are interested, please feel free to send me an email. The goal is to create a digital instruction option for the DOE, somewhat of a virtual academy. And that is something that Chancellor Banks mentioned in his comments when he laid out his vision for the Department of Education about maybe about a month ago. And there is, you're getting this announcement verbally right now because this is really the very beginning of this work. And so there's an opportunity here to have a huge impact by being involved at the very beginning. I also was asked to give you a heads up that in terms of school quality, the CEC presidents across the city have been invited to a meeting from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. on the 26th of April. So there is a little bit of lead time on that one. So on the 26th of April, we will be soliciting feedback from various parent leaders across the city. And then you will also, as a council, have a little bit more information on the current C37 process, as Joe has been invited to a briefing and informational session about that this Thursday night. So that's tomorrow night. So a very busy week. Thank you so much, and please let me know if you have questions on any of these topics or other feedback for FACE.
Thank you, Juliana. And yeah, I think my schedule is really being blocked here. I hope to attend as many meetings as I can, but I would appreciate if any other council member is in touch with your schools, and if you have anything that you want me to bring to the forefront, let me know.
Can Juliana send a email about
Juliana, will you be able to send an email to the council members regarding as a reminder regarding the parent engagement topics?
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for asking, Wendy.
That would be great. Thank you. So if there are any other items of new business, I'll entertain them now. Otherwise, it's 9:40. I believe it's 9:40, right? And if not, I will entertain motions to adjourn the meeting. Mr. Chow, motion to adjourn. And Anne Marie seconded the motion. Okay, guys, so thank you. Once again, I hope that we can move forward and do what we have to do. And it's always a pleasure to serve our community. And I wish you all a healthy and happy holiday, and I'll see you next month.
Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.